Greetings, fellow travelers. I am the DOJ.
And I am Spade.
And welcome to the Guardians of Geekdom podcast. Amy?
Yes, Captain.
Plot a course for Centauri 5.
Right away, Captain. Plotting course for Centauri 5.
So welcome aboard the Pfeiffer. It's been a minute. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah, but man, think about all the stuff we've seen.
Oh man. Me and your boy Spade have been out here putting in fucking work for the channel. And for his channel as well. You got some Spade-A-Nomics Comics stuff over the past weekend.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I do want to give you props though, man. You've been out here networking. You've been out here plugging the channel and giving out business cards with our with our not up to date info on them. But you know, he been writing them on the back because we working on it, y'all.
I figured like this: we got them. Why waste money?
So absolutely.
They still get some good use.
I was about to say we get the bang for our buck over here at Red Monster Inc.
But I'm trying to do a lot more networking and just all around getting exposure on everybody's part.
Absolutely. I wanted to also say to check out the video. I want to say I put a link in a recent tweet, but our homie Zach King over at Talent Joe did several interviews with some pretty big name guests, but Spade was on there too, putting over the podcast, which I thought was really awesome. Amongst names like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jake the Snake Roberts, then you had Spade putting over Red Monster Inc. and the GOG podcast. So I was like, man, that is dope.
This is what I do.
You don't get any doper than that, sir. But yeah, props to you, sir. You've been out here killing it.
I thank you, Mr. CEO.
No problem. No problem, pal. We're definitely going to get into some wrestling shenanigans here in a little bit because, God, there's so much going on. WrestleMania was this past weekend. I think we're all still fatigued from it. There was a hashtag, WrestleMania after a nap. That was totally a thing. I was like, so that was it was a mass fatigue, apparently.
Dude, being 8 hours long, that is a whole shift.
Yes, I told somebody, I said that is a whole shift at work. That is ridiculous, but we'll get into that in a little bit. First thing I wanted to get into, you went and saw Shazam.
I did.
Past
Friday.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, truthfully, which is awesome. I just watched Aquaman for the first time a few days ago. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Nice.
Maybe my favorite of the DCEU movies so far. And that's saying a lot, but I don't know. There was something about that movie that was like, this is where I want to be. You know,
well, I'm going to tell you, with Shazam, Aquaman probably will still be your favorite. But as far as for me, Shazam was a close second. It is my favorite lighthearted. Aquaman had his lighthearted moments.
Yeah.
I don't want to, take away from that. But Shazam just being that much of a lighthearted movie and character, it's just wow. And if anybody's seen, I know I'm kind of mixing universe here, but if anybody's seen Captain Marvel, and they know how that connected all the MCU movies, Shazam is the one that connected DCEU
Oh, wow.
movies.
That's cool. I like that. I'm totally okay with Shazam being that character too, to kind of tie it all in.
And it's so many references to the other Justice League characters in there. Not all of them, but
I was about to say, did they reference the events of Justice League?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
They actually do. Do you see newspaper clippings from Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman and even the Justice League itself, and kind of spoil a little bit, but it's not a big spoiler. His adopted brother Freddie wears a lot of Justice League t-shirts in the movie.
Yeah.
So you see one with Aquaman, one with Wonder Woman. So I'm like, there are definitely subtle nuances in
all that's canon in that.
Yeah.
In that world. That's cool though. I do like that a lot. But really, the point I was trying to get around to, it kind of seems like DC's finally starting to build some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted to talk about that because, you know, me and you both have wanted them to be successful from day one. You know, it's not that we never wanted them to, you know, be as big as Marvel. We just didn't want them to try to do the same thing.
Right.
And you can see what happened when they kind of tried to rush that process of doing the same thing.
Well, you know, it's a difference in being as big as Marvel versus trying, like you said, trying to copy them.
Yeah.
And DC went with a completely different formula as far as for their big team movie. They let the team movie introduce, you know, other solo movies. And I don't think, you know, either way would have been terrible. Just the I don't know, the way or how things were written and produced, that was just kind of off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot. And it was a lot of people were put off by it.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think a lot of people were just kind of ready to write them off, you know. I guess that was why the response from Aquaman was so refreshing to me, because everybody was, I don't know, at least I got the vibe that everybody was just kind of ready to tear everything apart, especially after, you know, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Justice League. All three of those movies were okay, but not great, you know, and that really bummed a lot of people out, us included, you know, but everybody was just not really willing to trust after that, you know.
yeah, because even especially after the last two with Suicide Squad and Justice League, I was kind of like, you know, it wasn't what I would expect.
To me, you kind of went out of those movies like with characters like that to play with. How do I feel so underwhelmed?
Right.
You know, it almost seems like that would be hard to do, but somehow they did it. You know, but no, like I said, with Aquaman, earlier reviews of Shazam have been great, and then you've got Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie coming out in October.
Oh wow!
I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it or not. But
I have.
I think it looks awesome. I know I've talked to several people. It's not Heath Ledger. I know it's not Heath Ledger. You're never gonna have that again. I'm sorry. Like, I love Heath Ledger's Joker too, but you're gonna have to get that out of your brain, because that is not the Joker that Joaquin Phoenix is playing.
No, not at all.
And I like this take on it because, I don't know, to me personally, it feels creepier. Like, it feels way more strange, and I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to nail that part of it.
I think he will.
That awkward, weird, you know, like...
I think it's going to be, to me, watching trailers, it was like elements of Batman animated series type Joker. You know, he had a lot of creepy moments in that. He had funny moments too. But I think they just kind of turned the volume up on that creepiness factor. And it's like, okay, well, this is the Joker. This is our Joker. We had Heath back in, you know, the mid-2000s. This is, you know, almost 2020. So this is going to be a new Joker for a new time. And I'm like, man.
And I think it's very much its own interpretation, its own artistic expression. It's not canon in the DC EU universe, so they have a lot of freedom to kind of do what they want to do.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm excited for that. So I feel like DC's building momentum, especially with that and the just all the positive stuff I've heard about the DC Universe streaming service. I've heard great things about Titans and Doom Patrol. You've got Swamp Thing coming up. You've got the Harley Quinn animated series coming up. So, I mean, they've got a lot of really diverse content coming out, I think.
I think, like you were talking about earlier, they just really re-gutted gutted out a lot of things.
Yeah, they definitely did a I don't even want to call it a soft reboot. I know that's the title they used for kind of what Aquaman was a soft reboot. But
Aquaman
to me,
but
they have been working it out within the DC, you know, system to make a better quality product. And you always knew the capability was there. It was really just a matter of like, can we get Warner Brothers off our back for just 2 seconds? Can we just do what we do? Which I think is honestly probably why the DC streaming is probably really cool. I imagine they have a lot more freedom with that.
And whenever you do see Shazam, I think you'll be, thoroughly surprised. I know a lot of people might not know a lot about him, know a lot about Billy Batson and his background, so they, cover all that without going overboard in origin stories. It's like, hey, we're going to give you his origin, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. So, learn quick. It's like on the fly. And then having him step into his superhero role and having Zach Levy as Shazam himself. At first, when I first saw him cast, I was kind of like, I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
But he nails it.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
To me, honestly, when I heard it was him, I was immediately sold because I was thinking, you need an adult who can play a kid.
Yes, you do.
So
and
I was like, I think he'll be perfect for that, honestly.
Oh, I gotta spoil this, but one of the scenes in there was so funny. The first time he goes to buy beer.
I was so happy they did that because that was a new 52. And honestly, let me segue with this. If you are wanting to get kind of up to speed with the Shazam character, Volume 1 of the New 52 Shazam is a great place to start.
Yes, it is.
Jeff Johns, I don't really think you need to say anything else after that. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that was kind of the vibe I got of what they were kind of patterning it after, and I liked that a lot. I don't really know if in the old incarnations if Billy Batson was quite as rebellious as he is nowadays.
No,
I didn't think so. I think he was kind of more. It always struck me as he was a little more goody two shoes.
Like a beaver. Leave it to
right?
beaver.
Yes. That is a great comparison. That was always kind of the vibe I got. So I guess that was what was refreshing about the New 52 is that idea of hey, he's an orphan and he's angsty and he doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere. And,
absolutely.
Which is why it made it special when he meets Freddy and the other siblings, it's just Freddy in the movie, right?
No.
Okay, they did all the other...
They did all the other siblings,
Awesome. Very, very cool.
So they have, they have all of them.
Oh, okay, sweet. So Volume 1 of New 52 Shazam is definitely a great place to start. I want to say Dr. Silvano's in that, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. And that was something I was happy about, was that they were doing him. If we weren't going to get Black Adam, then I was happy for that.
Dr. Silvano was a great place to start because, Black Adam to me is more for an experience, a little bit more experienced Shazam.
Yeah.
And that way, he's gauging his powers and he's fighting somebody that's just like him.
Yeah.
Whereas with Dr. Silvana, he is more of a power-hungry type person.
Right.
Take Lex Luthor if he would have gained Superman's powers.
Yeah. I was about to say megalomaniacal is kind of what the vibe I always got from Dr. Silvana.
So I know a lot of people were in uproar when they first said, we're not doing Black Adam in this movie. Like, how can you not do Black Adam?
But hey, if we're telling a long haul story here, I am all for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which honestly, thinking about how they've got it set up now, if they were to do a solo Black Adam movie, it would work because now you can set this character up.
Right.
You've already established Shazam is out there, so when they finally do meet, that could be an epic showdown that's been hyped,
for some time.
And you don't really get that a lot nowadays. Like the height. Oh, I really want to see these two characters clash.
As in our recently passed WrestleMania WWE title match.
Yeah.
But it was like I said, it was a really, really good movie. A good way to start. A refreshing, almost reset. Like you said, a soft reset, but definitely almost a reset. It was like they gave nods to the other characters in Justice League. Most of the other characters in Justice League, and even some of what happened in the movie, in the Justice League movie, let me say. And then, we're like, okay, well, we're still going to go into Shazam. Like, we still have this to reference from. We're not going to deny that it happened, but we're going to go ahead and tell Shazam's story.
Yeah, I was very glad that they were just like, hey, that happened. We don't have to talk about it, but we are acknowledging it.
Right.
Know? And I said that, I was like, there's no reason to backtrack on anything you've done. You can salvage, and just rebuild to the point where it's like, hey, nobody remembers that. Hey, remember when Batman killed people? No, nobody remembers that. But yeah, yay for DC, man. They needed the win for sure. They needed, and they're collecting wins, which I think is great. I think they need to just keep doing what they're doing right now, as far as let's just focus on these individual characters.
Absolutely.
Let's build them up, and then if you ever do decide to do a Justice League 2, it'll mean so much more because you've gotten each individual character, you've gotten invested with each character,
right?
So I think it would be very cool to re-explore that down the road. Well, we brought up the Graps a couple of times, so let's go ahead and transition into our version of the Wrestle Ramble, if you will. Like we said, WrestleMania was this past weekend, and very long show, 8 hours of show from kickoff to the end. We had a conversation before we came aboard the Pfeiffer about how that's kind of getting to be a bad habit with all promotions about running way too long. 3 hours is a good time to stop.
Yes.
And that's for a pay-per-view. I'm not talking about your 3 hours of Raw, which is ridiculous.
As I call it, rawful.
Rawful, yes.
But think of it was like this. I went to WrestleMania last year and even this year. Last year we went to the Ring of Honor Code show, the Supercard. And Crystal and I were sitting there watching, Dalton Castle and Marty Scurll for the ROH title. And that match went so long, which the show went so long, it started Saturday and went into Sunday. We're like, we got to get up and go for, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So for this WrestleMania itself, we're watching, looking at our clocks. It's in, of course, we're in Eastern time. We're looking at our clocks and like, it is 12 a.m. and the main event is just now fixing to go on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I told her, I made a joke about it. I said, this WrestleMania made history on 3 fronts. One, you have Kofi Kingston winning the WWE title, being the first full black WWE champion in history. Second, you have women main eventing. Third, the first WrestleMania to go 2 days.
Yeah. And that, Jesus, 2 days of WrestleMania. I mean, and you could honestly say with all the stuff that they have planned, from Takeover to Access to Hall of Fame to all the different events that they have around town, WrestleMania technically lasts 4 days, which is a little much for me. I know y'all have been to several WrestleManias, and I don't know if your boy the Doge can hang.
Well, if I'm gonna say it like this, you went last year, you probably would have been okay. This year, you wouldn't have been okay.
Yeah. I heard a lot of people talking about having to leave early because they were going to miss the train or the subway.
Yeah.
It was basically like it's now or never, or
Yeah.
you're not getting home. So that that's inconvenient to your audience. So at that point, I think you really need to reevaluate what you're doing there. As far as your format and your time frame.
Well, you and I have been on shows before, and you've even seen it yourself one time when I was heavyweight champion, and our show started at 7 o'clock, and it normally ended right at 10 or right before 10. Well, it's 10:30, and I'm main event, and I haven't went on.
Yeah.
you know, gymnasium full of people, and I walk out.
Tired people,
and I'm walking out, and over half the people are gone.
Yeah.
So you say, we're gonna say some gyms might hold 400 people. We might have had 150 there, you know, still, and it's just like, wow, you know, we were a packed house at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
and now we are what? I remember I called a locker room meeting once, and I told them, I got so pissed off. I told them, I said, I don't care who is holding this belt, but have some respect for the people who are going on last or whoever the champion is.
Yeah.
All of your spots don't need to be told, you know, thrown in. Tell a story. When we have talked about it before, storytelling in wrestling has become a lost art form.
Yeah.
Everybody can't do it. So to have that, and I mean, I even had some other workers grumble and be like, well, you're just saying that just because you hold the belt. I'm like, no, I'm saying that because nobody wants to go on at 10:30 at night.
Yeah. And at that point, you're like, I don't give a shit about this belt. You can have it.
Yeah. I'm like, it makes my bag a lot lighter not carrying it in.
No doubt. But yeah, a little too long for my taste. I was definitely, which I had a hardcore weekend that weekend anyway. So by the end of WrestleMania, I was done.
I'm hoping next year is going to be in Tampa, so of course we're going down to Florida for that.
Sweet.
But I'm hoping it'd be
Pirate themed this year.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it doesn't go way long like last week, because who was spent?
Yeah. Well, be sure to get your eye patch and your hook hand for next year's Mania, sir.
And my peg leg.
I want Pirate Spade for next year's Mania.
I'll see what I can come up with.
I think that would be great. We'll follow you around with a camera.
Definitely,
Adventures with Pirate Spade.
Definitely see what I can come up with.
Army mateys.
You know, I've never seen a black pirate before.
Black
That might
pirates.
be interesting.
That would be cool. I think that needs to happen. I think the Red Monster verse wants it.
The Red Monster verse shall get it.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the things coming out of WrestleMania, the biggest for me and Spade personally was Kofi winning the WWE title. Like I said, we were. Kudos, sir. Kudos to both him and Daniel Bryan. That was a fantastic match.
Yes.
Such a cool WrestleMania moment for Kofi to have the Kofi Kidstons in there. And the wife Chi-Chi.
Man, his one son, his oldest son, man, that dude.
Yeah, I was about to say he was said on Raw the next night, the one that stole the show.
Yeah.
Or on SmackDown, my bad. He was one on the ropes throwing the T-shirts out and stuff.
I'm like, he took to attention, the crowd, the camera
absolutely.
like a fish to water.
But yeah, very cool moment. And you can tell that moment meant a lot to a lot of people.
Well, you know, like you and I talked about earlier, man, you know, I compare it to when Ron Simmons won the heavyweight title and he became the first black world champion in history. You know, it was a comparable moment.
It was an emotional moment, too.
Yeah, you know, and people were, I'm watching it on TV, and, you know, people were jumping around and high-fiving, then the locker room empty, they hoist Ron on his shoulders and put the belt around him, and everybody was just so happy, you know. It was like, wow, you know, I'm looking at it as a kid, and I will always say that moment was the biggest influence on my in-ring career.
Right.
And then, you know, seeing Kofi now and then looking around and seeing people crying tears of joy, and, you know, black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, everybody just kind of celebrating all in one.
Right.
And I'm looking around thinking, you know, I'm going to turn this kind of political, so to speak, but not much. But it's like, why can't we do that as a people, celebrate one another's accomplishments
Absolutely.
like that, you know, and goals? And it's just like, for that moment, nothing else in the world mattered. Everybody came together as one, you know, person, human race, and we celebrated this man making history.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was a fantastic moment, honestly, and hard to follow, honestly.
Very.
Can't say that I was overly impressed with the rest of the show after that. At that point, like I said, I was just ready to get to the women's main event, and even that, I don't want to say it was a bad match, but I felt like it could have been better. There was something off about it. It definitely wasn't as good as I had really wanted it to be. Was happy Becky won. I know the finish was questionable. A lot of speculation on if it was a botch or if that was in the cards or not. I think it works out if you want to do a return match with her and Ronda. You've got that debate now. If you didn't legit pin me, Ronda being a heel could even still claim she's undefeated.
Yeah.
Like I said, okay match. I don't know. The whole show had its moments, but ultimately, I don't know if I was as hype about it as you were. But again, I was already fatigued going in. So, I've noticed that really does affect your opinion on a show, is depending on how you feel when you watch it. If you're not feeling too hot, you may not be as positive going into it, as you might be, if you were rested,
Yeah, because, I talked to you about WrestleMania 30 a lot, and Undertaker losing for the first time at WrestleMania, it just took, all the air right out of the building. So even when Daniel Bryan won the championship, people were like, yeah, but it wasn't like, yeah, They wasn't as rambunctious and raucous as they would have been had Undertaker won.
Yeah.
And so with this one, I like I said, you can see the fatigue factor. I'm sure you can see it on TV, because seeing it, and people are kind of like, the next match they're like trying to catch their breath. Then the next match, trying to catch their breath. So it was a while before they was able to catch their breath, which, kind of got to either Kurt Angle or to the title match itself. And they were just like, all right, I got a second win, but it's definitely not as strong as it could have been.
Right. Like I said, I didn't think the energy was going to get any higher than when Kofi won.
But I even told my sister, I was like, well, to me, the placement of some of the matches, especially with the WWE title match, was all wrong.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were saving energy for that match. So that match, to me, should have either went on next to last or third match, then another match, then the women's title match. If they were still, since they did tell us the women are going to main event, let them stay main event. Just have a kind of a bathroom break type match in between.
Yeah. We had talked about this earlier too. Originally, Brock and Seth Rollins was supposed to be semi-main. Brock apparently had one of his notorious hissy fits with Vince, and apparently it almost got physical. He pretty much demanded to go on last, and when Vince, and apparently Vince calmly tried to explain, hey, we've already advertised that the women are main eventing, my hands are tied, more or less.
Right.
And Brock was basically like, well, then put me on fucking first then. I had heard the original plan was for Brock to retain, and that they wanted Brock to retain so that he could drop the title formally back to Roman at the next Saudi show.
Really?
Yes. But I had heard with that instance that they changed it to Seth beating Brock. And I don't know, you had to take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt, because everything's,
right.
Internet hearsay nowadays. Right. But to me, that's an interesting thought of Seth not originally being planned to even win it. But like we said, the way the show was, I think if that had been semi-main, people would have crapped all over it. So I think really and truly that worked out. It was a hot title change right off the bat. It was kind of a quick match. and he beat the hell out of Seth for a while. So I mean, it was pretty one-sided, really and truthfully. But Seth with the 3 curb stomps. I'm not ever going to just call that the stomp. Fuck you, Michael Cole, and whoever made that call. The stomp. Fuck you, curb stomp.
It doesn't.
What's
have the
wrong
same,
with that? There's no,
It doesn't have the same flair as curb stomp.
Curb stomp, like that's just. It sounds brutal, like.
It's
stomp.
a brutal move.
It is, but 3 curb stomps put down Brock. Big pop for Seth. The way I see it, I was so sick of seeing Brock with the title, and I heard a great point brought up. Are you more excited about Seth winning the title or that Brock lost the title? I said I think there's probably way more excitement about Brock losing than Seth winning.
I'm excited. I'm truthfully more excited for Seth winning.
Yeah,
because
me too. Because if anybody on Raw deserves it, it's him.
Exactly.
Him and Drew McIntyre, I think, have put in the most hard-working matches these past 2 years.
And
sure.
I think if anybody can legitimize that belt as a somewhat heavyweight title, it would be Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Because we have said, Finn never got his actual rematch, except for, that match with Brock. But he never really got his actual rematch for the Universal title. And I'm like, the champions that they've had, of course, we have this one that's, so part-time. I know a lot of people are against part-time champions. I'm not so much, but it's like you can't be gone for 3 and 4 months with the title.
There's a difference between being a part-time champion and a just seldomly there champion.
Yeah.
Brock pushed that line of like, dude, you're never here.
Yeah.
At least if you're showing up every month or bi-monthly, tri-monthly, whatever, at least there's that relevancy. But you'd go a long time. Like, all the WrestleMania build was pretty much without Brock.
It was.
And I'm like, kudos to Paul Heyman for carrying the shit like he always does, but I'm not paying to see Seth Rollins versus Paul Heyman, you know what I mean? Like, but
But if he, going back to your point of him complaining or throwing a fit about, not being semi-main event, like I said before,
not being main event,
or not being main event. I'm sorry.
He wanted the women to take a backseat to him.
Crystal and I were at last year's WrestleMania as well, and again,
look how that turned out.
Yeah, so Vince. I don't think Vince was really gonna let history repeat itself, and he wasn't gonna go back and be like, well, this is the main event, but it's the early show. No, he said this is the main event. This is the last match on the card. They have earned their spot, and it's like they're there scrapping and fighting and pushing and proving themselves every week, while Brock's just sitting there home.
Exactly, and that's the thing. These women have been here. They've been putting in work. They've been busting ass. You've been at home reading fucking hunting magazines. So, no, you're not getting last. And fuck you, I'm going first. Well, hey, it worked out better, so bye. But apparently Brock left via helicopter immediately after that.
Where he's ultimately appreciated.
Yeah. Well, we've been hearing that shit for the past 3 years, so I'll believe it when I see it.
I really don't care at this point.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't really see where anybody else probably does either. I'm sure there's not a lot of people that really give a shit about him and Cormier.
And screw Brock Lesnar. What's next?
Yeah.
I'm going Goldberg here. What's next?
What's next? Next with an R. Kind of deviating from WWE and WrestleMania, we talked briefly about the G1 at Madison Square Garden. Two big title changes coming out of that, which I'm sure there were probably more, but the ones that the big headliners that I really caught was that Matt Taven won the ROH World title.
Yeah, in a four-way ladder match.
And was it a four-way? I thought it was a triple threat.
You might have been right.
It's
I'm
pretty sure it was Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, and Marty Scurll.
Somewhere I read somebody fed some wrong information, so I believe you are right. I think it was just a triple threat, but you know, having that, when I saw it the next morning when I got up, I was like, holy smoke! Like, Matt Taven won the ROH World title.
And I've been singing the praises of Matt Taven for a while because I was like, man, that dude is money.
Yeah.
Great heel, great persona, great gimmick. Probably one of the only original Kingdom members left.
Yeah, I think he is the original Kingdom member
he is
left.
the OG Kingdom. But I always kind of dug Matt Taven. I like how he kind of personalizes everything that he has with purple.
Yeah.
He even had his mock purple ROH title there for a while.
Yeah.
Which I almost wonder, will he just start carrying that now as his championship? But another title change, and this one I called it, but I was kind of surprised at the same time. Okada defeated Jay White for the IWGP title. I've kind of felt like ever since Okada was beaten by Kenny that they were kind of rebuilding Okada up again, like telling a comeback story. But I didn't really expect it this soon. I thought that they would probably want to try to build up Jay White more so that when Okada finally did beat him, it was a big deal.
Maybe it's the type of where they're trying to build them both at the same time.
Maybe, and maybe I'm not seeing the bigger picture here. Maybe they have a series of matches planned with Jay White and Okada. Jay White is incredible.
Yeah, he is.
When I heard that they put the IWGP title on him, I was like, hey, it's a good call.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to build up his Bullet Club. I think they've done a great job with that as far as, they are not the elite.
Right.
They are the Bullet Club. And they're doing their thing with it. They've kind of reinvented it, and along with Tamatonga and Tongaloa, like the GOD.
It's funny, you look around now, used to see Bullet Club shirts everywhere. You could hardly walk down the street without seeing one, and now, not so much. And I'm like, I understand it because people are familiar with the elite and everything, but and even guys like AJ and Finn who have been in the Bullet Club in the past, but now it's like Bullet Club has gotten back to their roots, so to speak.
Yeah, they have.
And if you've never seen the originals, like, get on YouTube or something and watch New Japan and check them out, because
AJ's Bullet Club stuff is great.
Yeah.
That might be one of my most favorite incarnations of AJ. Not to say I don't still love him, but there's just attitude behind the Bullet Club that was just so cool.
He had a total, not necessarily total, but a different reinvention of himself. Because, like you said, he had more attitude, so to speak. It was like, we seen him in TNA, we've seen him in ROH before.
He was kind of teetering on that with the when he came back. Was kind of doing the lone wolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a darker AJ. But it was kind of a touch of that, but it was, charismatic too, we've always said Bullet Club to us was kind of the guys who grew up watching NWO and DX,
right.
Kind of an ode to that. So you got to kind of have that I'm a cool bad guy swag, but yeah, kind of interesting that Jay didn't keep the IWGP title very long, but who's to say that he won't get it back. Another thing me and you talked about earlier was AEW and a TV deal. I am hearing rumblings about potentially them either being on TBS or TNT.
Wow,
yes. Really? This is all talk at this point, but a lot of the things that I've heard when it comes to hearsay with AEW ends up coming to be. So I'm very curious about that.
Dude, if that were the case, like they say, shut up and take my money now, because I'm definitely tuning in.
From what I heard, it will be a prime time TV spot too. So a TBS or a TNT, which TNT would be a trip, just because that's that was where Nitro used to be on. So, but both channels that most people get. So I'd say that's a hell of a deal, honestly.
I'm telling you, man, if that's the case, then they are, shooting right out the gate. They are really going for it, and props to them, man, for that. You don't really see if a wrestling promotion is starting up like this, them catching a major TV deal. Look how long it took ECW to land a TV deal. The original ECW.
Yeah.
And ROH has TV deals, but some of them you can only watch certain places, and they air like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays or something.
Right.
Or like some
a
cases like 9
channel
o'clock.
that not a lot of people get, and a time slot that's terrible too. Which especially in that business, you kind of got to take what you can get. But yeah, this is a big deal. This is network television. So yeah, very interested to see what comes of that. But yeah, that's so far that's the hearsay. I've heard that or sci-fi.
Okay.
So any of those would be great.
Sci-fi would be interesting because USA owns sci-fi.
Right. And I don't know that for sure. Like I said, a lot of that is hearsay, but I do know that they were at an event that was covered by Sci-Fi, and they did a relatively big piece with AEW. But yeah, money talks, man.
Yeah, it does.
Well, let's deviate back into some comic book stuff. I recently been kind of catching up on all the various superhero movies that I've kind of either slept on or just kind of didn't have time to go see in theaters.
What'd you get to see, man?
Like I said, first I watched Aquaman over this past weekend, and I absolutely loved it.
Cool.
Watched Into the Spider-Verse. Have you caught that yet?
I haven't had a chance to see that yet. How is it?
It is fantastic.
Nice.
Might possibly be my favorite Spider-Man movie.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's that good, dude. Like,
wow.
Don't sleep on it. It is.
I've been going back and
It's
forth.
incredible.
Back and forth with it. Like, I'll see it at Walmart or something, and all right, I'm gonna pick this up.
It's worth buying for sure.
Good deal.
Mac would probably second that. He bought it the other day.
I know I got to get it because my son's been asking about it.
Man,
off and on. Like, hey, can we get this? I'm like, yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it.
Oh man, the story they told, and by the end, you're just like, man, Miles Morales as Spider-Man is cool.
Nice.
And kind of going back to representation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. The Miles Morales Spider-Man is definitely one of those. Like he's, like I said, he goes through the struggles, a lot of the same struggles that Peter Parker himself goes through.
Wow.
When he first starts being Spider-Man, almost kind of verbatim from the comic of stuff sticking to him, and there's a lot of good comedy spots in there, but really great cast. But yeah, check it out. It is very, very good.
I'm planning on it.
It's just, I don't know, the way it's animated too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got a great art style to it. Almost looks like it's straight out of a comic book, the way it's animated. It's really cool. And then I caught Venom, and I liked Venom a lot. I know I've heard mixed reactions on Venom.
Now, I got to tell you this, man. My son and I went in Walmart one time, and I saw the Predator movie, New Predator.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him, that event. I'm like, which one should I pick up? I said, I'm gonna get Predator. He looks at me like, nah, get Venom. I said, you sure? Yeah. So he picks it up and hands it to me. So I buy Venom. So we take it home and watch it later that night. And I was like, wow, this movie was. It surprised me.
Yeah,
and it was a good surprise to me.
Surprisingly good. Like I told you, funnier than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tom Hardy played the crap out of that. Playing that the tweaked debating with the symbiote. He played the crap out of that.
I liked parts of it, like you said, debating with the symbiote and almost at times arguing with the symbiote. Like, we don't eat people. Are you sure?
Yeah.
So that was really great, but yeah, it was a really pleasant surprise to me. I know, like you said, a lot of people might have been down on it, but I'm like, I don't think y'all paid attention to this movie. Pay attention to it.
No, because if you did pay attention to it, and I'm going to go ahead and say spoilers ahead, Eddie Brock mentions that he was originally from New York and worked for the Daily Globe, which is, everybody should know where that is.
Uh-huh.
To people that are like, oh, it's not connected to Spider-Man, well, it very well could be in the future.
They never said it wasn't.
Right, and I like that they left that open a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned to Elmac that wouldn't it be interesting, because if you notice, when he becomes Venom, he doesn't have the spider logo that we're all accustomed to.
Right.
So who's to say that his interaction with Spider-Man doesn't make that happen?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But I think that could be really cool on down the line, especially an older Tom Holland Spider-Man, maybe a little more veteran, seasoned Spider-Man versus a Venom.
Right.
And really, there's a lot of ways they could go about that, because they kind of play him as an anti-hero in Venom. So I could almost see that fight being almost kind of a Batman versus Superman kind of situation of just misunderstanding, or disapproval of methods, you know. From Peter Parker's standpoint, it'd probably be like, hey, you can't eat people's heads, man.
Well, you can also look at it from Venom's standpoint as like, if so-and-so is beyond the point of redemption, just take them out.
Right.
And so like you said, a differing of philosophies, so to speak, is always pretty interesting. And, especially in the comic book movie and in the comic book realm in general.
But one of the big things coming out of that was, again, this is a spoiler, but there's an after credits scene, and this is something that's pretty relevant, is Eddie Brock goes to do an interview with Cletus Cassidy, which if you are aware of the comics, you know that it's Carnage.
Yeah.
Played by Woody Harrelson. And me and Spade talked about this a pretty good bit yesterday he said that there was people grumbling about Woody Harrelson playing that character, and I was like, I don't get that at all, because the minute I saw it was Woody Harrelson, I marked out.
So many people, Woody Harrelson in the red wig looks dumb and blah, 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 and he couldn't play Cletus Cassidy, and this is stupid, and I'm like, have y'all ever seen Woody Harrelson?
I was about to say, like, Natural Born Killers. Like, jeez.
He can play a crazed character.
Yeah.
And Cletus Cassidy, if anybody's read Amazing Spider-Man 360 through 362, he's a crazed character.
Absolutely. And me and Mac talked about this yesterday about, back in the day, you'd hear Woody Harrelson, you were kind of like, he's cool, he's funny, I guess.
Right.
But it's only like in the past, 10 years or so that he's done stuff that you're like, holy crap, Woody Harrelson is an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Hunger Games movies, but he plays a character named Hamish. And I read the first book, and holy crap, does he play the shit out of that character. And it just seemed like after that, I was just like, wow. I was just, not to say that earlier stuff didn't impress me, but that was really the first movie that I was like, wow, and I really took notice to how good he was. And then seeing him pop up in every kind of cool franchise there is, you know, he was in the new Solo movie, the Star Wars. He was in the last Planet of the Apes movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Zombieland. You know, which Zombieland was kind of comedic, but at the same time he kind of played a badass too. So, you know, he's done a lot of killer stuff. And when I saw it was him, I immediately was just like, oh man, I want that. I want that in a sequel for sure. So, fuck you haters. I want some Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I think that would be amazing.
I think it's gonna be too.
So yeah, I was kind of glad to scratch those off my list over the past week or so.
You got some good movies under your belt
Yeah,
now that you
definitely.
have viewed, man. I'm still interested. Like I said, I'm definitely picking up Into the Spider-Verse. I'm just like so many movies I have watched and yet to watch, and so much stuff I'm doing. It's just like I get lost in the shuffle. But whenever I get my break, I'm watching it.
Yeah, and that is it's hard to balance everything that you're doing, you know, to finally sit down and watch stuff. But it's cool when you finally do get that chance to kind of unwind and immerse yourself in something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to talk briefly. I know we kind of ended the last show on an abrupt note. Apparently the Nova Corps showed up profiling us because a black dude and a white dude are out driving a spaceship in space. Thought we were the ones doing the shooting.
Who would ever thought you'd get pulled over for a DWB in outer space? Like, jeez, man, seriously?
Yeah, so we got that smoothed out, I think. They left anyway. So.
Yeah. Also, we didn't have any food for them. I wasn't going to feed them. Pull us over like this in space just 'cause, really?
Yeah.
All black people in space do shady stuff?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well,
Punks.
making assumptions and shit.
First three letters of word assume. Ass.
Hey, you got any talking points, man? That was all I had on my notes.
That's pretty good. Not much. Just I'm excited about Endgame. You know, the countdown.
That was actually
began.
the last thing on my list.
And dude, anybody listen to this, get your tickets now.
Yeah, that was something. Spade called me the other day. Actually, while I was watching Venom, and was telling me about that they ordered their tickets for, was it Thursday night?
Yeah.
And that pre-sales were going fast.
Very. Person at the counter told us that the theater that they're going to show it in holds about 150 something, 150, 160 maybe, but half of those have already been sold. Wow. So my plan is, of course, and I know anybody listens, so don't check my bags when we get to the door, but I'm bringing my food on in anyway. And
you just snitched on yourself.
I know it.
Stop snitching.
And but plan on camping out, man, because I mean, you want to get good seats too.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went to see Man of Steel the first time, like I had to sit up front, and I'm watching Superman fly across the screen, so it gave me motion sickness. Mm. So now it's just like, no, I'm planning on being there, even if I have to Spade KO some old ladies cutting in line again. I'm Spade KOing everybody that day.
Out of nowhere.
So, but yeah, man, just talk about that. And my fiance, she's so excited about it. I think she's even more excited than I am. And
wow.
She told me about it.
And that's super geeked.
Yeah, and she's all like, I think I'm more excited for this movie than you are. I'm like, I think you are too. I had to wait a long time. I'm like,
she got the fever.
I told her, I said, it's just been a year. That's a long time. Yeah, it is, and it's not that long.
It is, and it isn't at the same time.
Right.
It really doesn't feel like Infinity War was that long ago.
It really don't. It really doesn't.
It really doesn't. But yeah, let's. How about this? Final calls for Endgame. Who's dying, Spade?
Captain America.
I'm going to second that. I'm also going to say Pepper Potts.
Wow.
That's just a, that's a hunch, but that's not,
Mm-hmm.
That's purely speculation.
Yo, right. Ooh,
But,
yeah.
Those are really the only characters I see losing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, while I do think there's room to off Tony Stark, I don't see that happening yet.
I think the only other character, which would probably be, I don't necessarily say non-Avenger, but, well, only two. Other two, of course, Thanos himself. I can see him kind of offing him. And Nebula.
Did Nebula die in the comics?
No, she did not.
Okay, because I was going to say, wasn't Nebula was pretty pivotal to beating Thanos in Infinity Gauntlet, wasn't she?
She did in the comic books because she was helpful in taking the Infinity Gauntlet off of him, but she
Yeah.
also wielded it.
Yes.
So it turned, for anybody who has not read it, it kind of turned her, she got power crazy, power hungry. So the Avengers had to enlist Thanos' help to get it back off of her.
Oh, wow.
But of course they had to keep it, away from him and all that. So it was, chaotic to
Yeah.
say the least. Everything I've been hearing and reading about this, I'm almost dare say time travel is going to be the key.
Yes.
Like they are just
Yeah.
going to. It's almost like it's not a secret anymore.
Right.
So some
Well,
type of way.
you've seen them in the quantum suits.
Yeah.
So they're obviously getting ready to go into the quantum realm.
Which people are merchandising that now, so they'll make them into jackets and hoodies. I'm getting one.
Oh man, yes. Take my money, please.
I'm like,
'Cause
I'm
those
gonna-
are
I'm gonna have
cool
to work-
as hell.
I'm gonna have to work up, save up to get some, man. Get me one.
I marked out when I saw Rocket had his own.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. Can Rocket just be an Avenger all the time?
Man,
I'm cool with that.
The Adventures of Rocket, Groot, and Thor.
Yes. Hey, that's a movie right there. That is a movie that I would totally go see. So, and just be a comedy.
Yeah.
Just be nothing but a comedy. I think that would be great. It's kind of like I posted that picture by Boss Logic, the pawning of the galaxy, with Rocket as like a pawning off Marvel items. I was like, I'd
man.
watch that. Like, Rocket selling various things that he's stolen over the Marvel universe.
Bucky Barnes, keep your left
I was
arm
about to
under
say,
lock and
yeah,
key.
Yeah. Got the arm in the carrying case. Gotta get that arm.
Oh, I'm getting that arm.
And I need that guy's eye.
Oh, I didn't really need his leg. I just wanted his leg.
I just thought it'd be funny.
That was so great, man.
that
I
is
was like, I
fantastic.
cracked up so hard at that. It was like, I just wanted his leg. Like, wow. No use for it. I just wanted
it. I want to see what Rocket Raccoon's room looks like. Just various things all over the place.
Probably some of our missing items are in it.
That's probably true. But I'm sure a lot of our swag has come up missing thanks to Rocket. People come on this ship all the time with just, like our security's not all that great.
Nah.
we upgraded to Amy. She does what she can, but
It's about like Star Lab security and Flash.
absolutely, yeah.
Non-existent.
Yeah, I was about to say we are Star Labs in space. Anybody just like, hey guys, how did you get up here?
We're like, oh, well, you
I mean, you
side
just
door
left
was
the
open.
teleporter on. It's
Yeah.
fine. Whatever.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, Spade, you got anything else, brother?
Nah, DOJ, I think that's it for me.
I think that is it for me as well. It has been fun catching up, sir.
Yeah, as always.
But Amy, plot a course for home.
Plotting course for the Dog Pound. Initiating GOG Awesome Mix Volume 1 Track 4.
I am the DOJ,
I am the S to the P to the A to the D to the E.
and we will catch y'all next time.
Peace!
You think you can rip me off, you son of a bitch? Ha! I own everything. I own the whole universe. Ha! Guardians of the Galaxy, the Milano, BB-8, it all belongs to me. You're nothing but a bunch of dirty space pirates. Especially you, DOJ. You take whatever you want. Well, not anymore. Ha!
Give the order, my lord, and I will execute these thieves once and for all.
No, I think he gets the point. The Guardians of Geekdom podcast is dead. Bury it.
This will be your only warning, Mongrel.
If I ever see you around here again, I'll blow you out of the sky. Ha ha!